I haven't finished. I haven't finished. I haven't finished. I speak to women wearing burqa all the time.
I campaigned.
Now let's watch this Revolting Reform UK MP Sarah Pochin, aka Nurse Ratched, getting really beautifully schooled on the subject of banning the burqa, where she basically was asked, why did you decide to prove to the electorate that your party's massively racist? And look at her face of glee when asked this question.
Why did you ask that question? Do you think that was a priority for your constituents?
I think the point is we need to open the debate. So where my constituency now has an awful lot of illegal immigrants, an awful lot of people come in and tell me how threatened they feel just in their own environment. And I've talked a lot already about the HMOs we have with illegal immigrants in, the illegal immigrants in the migrant hotel. So yes, that was born out.
But what's that got to do with the burqa?
So because of people just generally being threatened in this country, feeling threatened in this country. And also the other key point about my question, it was twofold. It's about cultural integration. Keir Starmer talked about the island of strangers that we're turning into. Well, in my view, wearing a burqa, or in fact any kind of face covering like that, is a barrier to integration. So that was the first reason for asking that question.
So is it Reform Party policy?
It's not Reform Party policy, but
would you like it to be?
I would, yes. Right. And the point is, as an MP, is the House of Commons is there to create debate. And do you know what I was most disgusted with was the fact that Keir Starmer would not even answer that question. He wouldn't give me an answer and he was rude, just like you've been rude, because you don't like what we're saying.
Just to go back to your question last week, you said it was in the interest of public safety.
Yes.
The statistics are, British Future, the think tank, thinks that between 3,000 and 5,000 Muslim women wear the burqa. So it's not a huge proportion of Muslim women. Why is it a threat to public safety?
Do you know, can I just say to you, after I'd raised that question, a policeman stopped me and said, thank you for raising these issues. Because
Why?
How do they do their job? How do they know who the terrorists are? We know that they're male terrorists put burqas on to be in disguise. Now, the point is, I'm not saying that happens all the time. Of course I'm not. The point is, it's just another barrier to the police doing their job. And we need to feel safe in this country. I feel very strongly that if you want to come and live in this country, you live by our culture, and we will respect yours. But when it becomes a barrier to do with cultural integration, you know, you can't on the one hand complain that there's not cultural integration and then the other hand support a barrier.
But does cultural integration mean that everyone has to be the same? Or
of course it doesn't.
Is there room for difference?
I know from areas I've worked in the past and my experience in public life that where you have such a barrier, how can you integrate? It's a massive cultural difference where women are... It's a huge misogynistic symbol. In this country, we're about democracy. We're about people being able to do what they want to do, not being told what to wear by their husbands.
Sarah, you're the chair of the all-party parliamentary group for British Muslims. What do you make of the need for a debate about the burqa?
Slight irony there. Sarah talking about husbands not being telling their wives what to wear, but quite happy with the state telling women what to wear. I don't think that's where we should be. Zaya Youssef called it dumb. I would say it's dangerous and disingenuous, if I'm honest, the way that PMQ was phrased. Dangerous because less than a year ago we saw riots in our streets because of dog whistle politics, such as what we heard just then. We saw mosques attacked. We saw people scared. People that I know, my friends, constituents of mine in Luton, that were absolutely terrified to even go out because of that sort of debate and the tone of that debate. And secondly, I'd say it's disingenuous for all the points that Vicky's just raised around safety. You couched that PMQ in terms of safety. If you were talking about safety and face coverings, why not ask the question about balaclavas instead of burqas? I haven't finished. If it was genuinely about public safety, why not ask the question about balaclavas rather than burqas? There does seem to be a certain type of person that you seem to be very scared of. And I don't really understand that the statistics don't back that up, as we have heard, in terms of the numbers of people being robbed or the places being robbed or people being stabbed. The majority of those will be people with face coverings other than burqas.
What about... Yeah, very good point there. And also, thank you for telling us a pointless story that never happened about the police officer. Yeah, as if that's really important. Yeah, because it let's be honest, never really happened. And if she really cared about her constituents, she'd be more interested in those running around her area in balaclavas instead of being scared of a handful of Muslim women, wearing burqas. Also, I have to say, in my 50-odd years of living in my very multicultural, beautiful city, I've never been attacked by a Muslim woman in a burqa. Ever. I also love the way Sarah Owen just basically said, calmly, excuse me, I haven't finished yet. Because she was desperate to jump in because she looked like a bulldog chewing a wasp, didn't she? I thought it was brilliant. But she's absolutely right. Her rhetoric is incredibly dangerous, isn't it? But it gets better. When asked about women being forced into wearing the burqa, she was asked how many of these women had she actually talked to about this.
How many women have you spoken to about wearing the burqa? Do you speak to women about this? I mean, there's not very many of them, according to...
I'll tell you what, though, I campaigned...
You can!
No, hang on a minute.
speak to women wearing burqa all the time.
I campaigned hard in Bolton South East years ago, 10 years ago, and when I say you can't, if a woman has got a burqa on and they're in the streets, you cannot talk to them. They won't talk to you because they're not allowed to talk to you.
That's not
Sarah,
true.
final word on
that
this.
That is totally untrue. And actually, when Kemi says she wouldn't speak to somebody wearing a burqa in a surgery, women can take off their burqa in front of another woman, and that has happened with me. And I just think that when we talk about this, we need to talk about this responsibly, because I don't want to see the repeat of what happened in summer. Maybe you do.
Can I just show one more image?
In other words, she hasn't spoken to any of these women, has she? Also, notice her rolling of the eyes when Sarah Owen basically just held up a mirror and she didn't like what she saw. Probably because she knows it will destroy her racist narrative about, women wearing the burqa. And it would also destroy her get out of jail free card of saying, well, the reason why I've not spoken to these women, because they're not allowed to speak without permission. Now, granted, there's probably the examples of this, but I've heard so many other stories of Muslim women not listening to their husbands and families who are not in favour of the burqa by demanding that they will wear the burqa. So let's cut to the bollocks here and just admit she's just an ugly troglodyte of a racist who hatred and racism is aging her face at an alarming rate, isn't it? Also, well done, Sarah Owen, in exposing her utter nonsense of pretending to care about these women's freedoms while at the same time trying to dictate what they should wear, while also highlighting her hypocritical racism by using the example of balaclavas. Brilliantly done. But anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know down below, and I shall bid you farewell and take care, my friends.